Albert, you telling me that your fine Bostonians put a lot of pressure on their sports stars to win and perform? I mean, I have no idea what you're
That was the
talking
Super
about.
Bowl here, Bobby. Welcome in. Week 4 is in the books. We're looking forward towards week 5. It is the hurry up. And to break all of it down here at the quarter pole of the NFL season, I got two guys I got a lot of background with that I've known for a long time coming in. To my left is Bobby Carpenter. You guys have heard from him before on the show. He's an Outkick now, 97.1 The Fan in Columbus, former first-round pick of the Dallas Cowboys. And to my right is my old buddy Bucky Brooks, an ex-colleague of mine at NFL Network. He's still over there. He hosts the Move the Sticks podcast with Daniel Jeremiah. And he, too, was a former NFL draft pick and a former NFL scout. Appreciate you guys coming out. And I want to start with maybe a surprise story through a quarter of the season. There is one undefeated team left in the NFL. And I don't think any of the three of us would have guessed a month ago that that one undefeated team left would be the Arizona Cardinals. So, Bucky, I'm going to start with you on this one. How much of this is real? Like, when you look at the Cardinals, the job they've done through 4 games, the job Cliff's done, the job Kyler's done, the fact that they went into LA and beat a Rams team that soundly beat the defending Super Bowl champions just a week before, how much of it's real, and what are you still wondering about after 4 games?
Well, I mean, I think anytime you have a quarterback, the start and the way that you play is real. Kyler Murray is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And what we have seen is we've seen his game go up a notch in terms of how he plays, how he commands the offense, the things that Cliff Kingsbury is asking him to do. And so as he goes, the Cardinals offense goes. And this offense has been dynamic. It's been explosive. And then I would say the one element that is added to Kyler Murray's success has been a surprising commitment to the running game. Against the Rams, you saw them run the football and kind of stay persistent with the run. If they are patient and persistent with the running game, it allows Kyler Murray to have more success throwing because everyone can't just load up in coverage.
Bobby, what do you see? I mean, because, you know, like Bucky said there, this is sort of taking on a little bit of a different look. And Cliff's got the air raid background, but, you know, I actually texted with him after the game, and he was saying how this is the most physical he's seen his team. Like, how different do you think this Arizona team is, and how real is what you're looking at to you?
You know, people, we knew how he moved before and how fast he was, how athletic he was. But the one thing like that differentiated him from a lot of quarterbacks who are great athletes, I think, who maybe moved as much as he did, is he has a nice touch on his ball too. I mean, he can. It's not just he has a gun that he can throw it in there, but I liking him a little bit to like Michael Vick, except for the fact that when you watch him throw a football, like Mike never had that little drop shot. He never had the touch that you see Kyler Murray having. So he can scramble around. He keeps his eyes down the field. He doesn't run nearly as much as I think people thought he would. He doesn't take a lot of shots, and he does a fantastic job of being able to sculpt the ball, you know, into difficult places. And it's a little like Drew Brees, Russell Wilson-esque. These shorter quarterbacks, they have to be able to do that because maybe they just can't stand in the pocket all the time and just gun it down on guys. And he has the arm strength, but it's his ability, in my mind, to be able to kind of put that arc on the ball and to craft a shot where you can drop it into the second level and have success.
Yeah, and Bucky, like going back to like when you were evaluating him coming out, is there anything that surprises you? Bobby mentioned the touch on the ball. Obviously, he's a unique athlete and the shortest quarterback ever to be drafted as high as he was. Is there anything like, you know, now in his 3rd year that you look at and say, you know, man, like I knew he was X, Y, and Z, but I didn't know he was A, B, and C.
I think he's much faster than we all might have expected and anticipated. It's one thing to see a guy who does what he's able to do on the baseball diamond. It's another thing to watch him in high school when he was doing it at Island High School and having been around him at Elite 11. You could see the traits, right? And everyone kind of talked about him maybe being the best high school player to ever play in Texas and all this other stuff. But you kind of wonder, is that real or is that a mirage? But then when you watch him play with the Cardinals and you watch him kind of put it all together, the athleticism with the arm talent and the playmaking ability, and I would say the command and the IQ that he displays while he's playing, he has a lot of traits. I think the one thing that you worried about was he's so short. He isn't a big guy. Is he going to be able to see over the line? But that hasn't been an issue because he finds a way to find the passing lanes. And look, man, he's very impressive when he has the ball in his hands. And if he is able to avoid like a barrage of hits where he doesn't wear down at the end of the season, the Cardinals going to be a problem because he's faster than everybody on the field and he has big time arm talent.
Second topic for this week's been a hot button topic over the course of the weekend. Everybody's seen the video at this point that emerged. I think it was Saturday night when it came out from Friday night there in Columbus, Ohio, of Urban Meyer. And he felt compelled on Monday to address it with his team first. Then he addressed it publicly in a press conference. And then on Tuesday morning, Shad Khan came out and made a statement and saying that Urban Meyer has to earn the respect and trust of the organization back now. Obviously, guys, Urban Meyer went to Jacksonville and got a lot of things that he asked for. He got facilities, he got staff. That organization is deeply, deeply invested in him. How critical is this week? Bucky, we'll start with you. How critical is this week in the Jaguars organization? And how critical is it that Urban Meyer finds a way to win back that locker room? Because I think that that's the first place that you have to start when you're talking about a situation like this.
Breer and Bobby, I say it's really critical. Having worked down in Jacksonville on the preseason telecast and being really close to the program, look, man, this is devastating. Not necessarily like what took place, because that's between him and his wife. However, what took place, just kind of eroded some of the credibility that Coach Meyer had in the building. So much of what's going on in Jacksonville has Urban Meyer's face all over it. The revitalization of downtown and the projects that they're putting around the stadium, the new practice facility that they want, upgrading some of the things within the stadium, all of that has his face on it. And so when you are the face of the franchise, everyone is kind of holding you to a higher standard. And so that's part of it. But the other part is with the team, because somewhere in the team meeting, Coach Meyer told the team, give me 6 months of focus, commitment to the program, and we will see a ton of games. Well, now when he goes back and steps to the podium in front of those guys, he now has to talk about an unfocused moment that has allowed him to become a distraction to the team. And how he handles that will really determine whether the team follows him or if it becomes a fractured unit. And so a lot of it is him putting the things that he has said as a leader at Ohio State, Florida, Utah, and Bowling Green, as a leader that has been on TV talking about things. He now has to put it in practice, and it has to be his best sell job as a leader that he's ever done, because right now things are teetering in the balance.
Yeah, and Bobby, you spent a good chunk of your adult life in those locker rooms. You've played for legendary coaches. If you're Urban Meyer right now, how do you earn the trust of the locker room back? How do you earn the respect of the locker room back, assuming that's what he has to do over the next few days?
Well, I think some of the trust is not even in the locker room. I think it's in probably your staff room. I mean, he's a tough coach to work for, and he's very, very demanding. I think you have to buy into what he's selling and what he's about if you want to be able to have success and want to be able to kind of galvanize as a staff. So, it's one thing. Those are grown men as well who have families who are looking at this now thinking, okay, look at the guy, this is our off week and this is what happened. And you think about how coaches always look at, kind of the players' bye weeks or, the 4th of July weekend, Memorial Day weekend. And I just think back to some of the things that Parcells or Belichick or these guys, coaches used to always say about making good decisions. And then ultimately it comes back to your coach who, you get a long weekend off. You're 0-4, you just lost a tough game. Hey, it's fine if you're out, if you're having a drink, whatever. No one's going to criticize you about that. But now you add that up to become a distraction, and guys have to answer questions about it. If he has a good relationship with the leaders on his team, I think this will ultimately, blow over. It's going to probably shorten the leash on success to where he's going to need to start producing. And they've been in some games, but they're going to have to start translating, those tightly contested contests into wins. And so that's another piece of it. But the reality, too, in the locker room is it's going to be thirds. And there's a lot of noise around it where it's either maybe 20% or 40%. But there's going to be a portion of guys that don't care. There's going to be a portion of guys that honestly probably look at this and it humanizes them a little bit. And that's probably not a huge portion. And then there's going to be some that this really sincerely bothers them. And so you're going to have to work on those guys and try to get them back and get them believing and humanize yourself. And make sure that you honestly, there's a sincerity to how you act around your team. And they've got to feel that all the time. And so I think his owner has his back. I think that, like you said, Albert, they've invested a lot in him. I think they want to see him have success. It's just going to be a function of, can you keep the leaders of your team behind you because you're 0-4, which we act like that doesn't matter. That does matter
Yeah.
right now when you're trying to go through something like this.
This is a completely different deal if the Jaguars were 4-0 compared to 0-4. And they're 0-4 with a string of 19 losses hanging over the franchise. So all of that ratchets up the pressure on Urban Meyer to win a game and win a game quickly to kind of erase all of that other stuff. It's like if they win on Thursday night, seeing Urban out on Friday night is victory Friday, right? He was off, we won, everyone is off for the weekend, let's go and have it. And so part of the stuff that I hear is not necessarily like him being out, but more so the stuff that, oh, he didn't fly back on the plane with
Yeah,
the
and you
team.
know
He
what? Like,
stayed
I
in
want to
that
ask
stuff. Like,
Bucky. I want to ask you about that because, like, I can't remember ever hearing I honestly, like, the one time I can remember a head coach not flying home with the team, like hearing about it, was like Bill Parcells in 1996 when he left the Patriots to go to the Jets after the Super Bowl. He didn't fly back to New England with the team. I honestly can't remember another circumstance. Maybe it happens and we just don't know about it. But is that a problem for him that he didn't fly home with the team when they were coming off of a tough loss like that?
I think so. I think just the optics don't look great, right? Like in
Yeah.
college, you can do that because in college, like maybe you go into a recruiting stop, like you play a Thursday night game, you go and you recruit and get like college players. We're not really used to seeing the position coach all the time. They kind of come and go because they're recruiting stuff. The pro coach is always on it. So it's almost like Leonardo DiCaprio in the movie Titanic standing on the bow and all of this other stuff. Like when the ship is sinking, like you still need to see the leader there. So even if he was going to hang out in Columbus, proper protocol would have been a fly back in Jacksonville and then either catch a private jet or catch the first thing smoking on Friday morning to go out. And then that would alleviate some of the stuff. So now you have the incident in the bar, you have he didn't fly with the team, and then you have the haters who already were waiting for this to fail. And so what is amounted to is probably a bigger storm than it really is, but it's a PR nightmare for a team that has lost 19 straight.
Our third and final topic of the week here. Patriots, Buccaneers, the hype was the hype. Bill and Brady getting back together. They actually wind up meeting after the game. Brady leads the team to the win at the end, makes a couple of critical throws to put Ryan Suckup in position to kick the field goal, get that 1917 win in his return to Gillette Stadium. Through a quarter of the season, the question now I have is, has Mac Jones been the most impressive of the five rookie quarterbacks?
He has been most impressive in terms of like he has been put in a system that appears to be perfectly suited for him in terms of the way the Patriots play and the way that he has to play. I think those things are a perfect marriage. The one thing that I wonder about is like they need to upgrade the people around him for him to have long-term success because the difference in Mac Jones and some of the other quarterbacks, like if we compare him to the top quarterbacks in the AFC, like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, they all have like superpowers that allow them to put the team on their backs. Mac Jones doesn't necessarily have the physical talent to do that. He is smart, cerebral. He does a great job of playing the game like the right way, but he has to have more weapons around him for this team to get over the top. And so, in a way, it reminds me of Brady in the early years of the Patriots, the early 2000s when they were winning, when the defense was outstanding. And then he had Givens and those playmakers that could kind of run and catch, and they had the running game, and they would win a bunch of tight games. But for this team to go to the next level where they really dominate people, they need to have an A-level cast around him so he can do what he does from the pocket.
Well, I didn't make the Brady comparison. Bucky did. And Bobby, you played with Brady. Is it fair? Do you look at Mac Jones right now and say, maybe he's not Tom Brady, but there are some traits there that remind you of Tom a little bit?
To compare him to Tom Brady, it's a natural comparison because he's playing in the same offense. Bill drafted a guy that does a lot of things the same way. Now, the question will be, in 3 to 5 years, will he be doing them at the level that Tom was, where he could have, talent across the board that doesn't elevate, but he can make them better. He can take Julian Edelman and make him, a 75 to 80 catch, 1,200-yard receiver because he's putting it right on him and they work so well together. That'll ultimately be the question. But watching him go no huddle in New England, like there were flashes where, okay, that looked a lot like Tom Brady, dropping, scanning the field, getting the ball out quick. And believe me, that was by design. he knew what Todd Bowles was going to do. I mean, those guys are all Parcells tree. Todd's mixing it up, bringing pressure. They've got an elite defensive line. So Belichick, hey, what are we going to do? Josh, what are we going to do? Hey, it's getting 2 minutes. This is something our guy does well. He did it well at Alabama, and we'll see if he can process, and we'll really matriculate the ball down the field with quick passing game, get the ball out quick, and take the heat off of our O-line and slow down that pass rush and really simplify the picture as well that he's seeing. And so you see some of those traits, but if you don't, Albert, have those other traits like Bucky was talking about, the ones that you possess, you have to be really, really good at unless you have other elite playmakers around them. And, they don't necessarily have a Gronk right now, and there's not, I don't know if a Julian Edelman on that team who we laugh about, or a Randy Moss, from earlier. Like, you have to have guys that can go help win for you. And right now they have some of that, but if they're going to be able to challenge in the AFC, either Mac's got to get to the point where Tom was, or those weapons around him have to elevate a little bit as well.
And I think I have this figured out now. Last week I struggled with this a little bit. Who's on my right? Who's on my left? I think Bobby Carpenter is to my left and Bucky Brooks is to my right. You can catch Bobby on Outkick.com and in Columbus, if you're in Columbus, on 97.1 Morning Juice. To my right is Bucky Brooks, former NFL scout, and you can catch him on NFL.com and NFL Network and the Move the Sticks podcast, my buddy Daniel Jeremiah. Really appreciate you guys coming out.